I went ahead and cut a plate for the booster. This is going to be my adapter plate to weld onto the frame. Don't know how I managed it, but cut the hole too big, so there's not much meat left around the edges for the nuts and bolts to go on. And that's my other last piece that I've got now, so I'm running out of plate as well now, so I'll have to do some more. So yeah, I cut all this up ready. I thought I'd just get it all prepared, but obviously it's quite substantial. Probably need to be that thick. See how we get on. Anyway, other question. So what else did I do? I busted my balls trying to get out of the leaf charger DC controller, and as you can see, I've literally just rested it on top of the inverter there. It's just sitting there, and there's no way on earth going in the engine bay. I mean, that will probably go down another inch before it's mounted on its fixings and into the buzz bars need to go inside it. So it looks like that idea's gone out the window, because there's no way on earth that's going to fit inside the engine bay unless I cut a hole out in the bonnet and make it look like a supercharger, which I'm not going to do. So that idea's out the window now, unfortunately. It's not too much of an issue, because I do have gone ahead and bought the Outlander charger DC converter, which is substantially smaller than that and also probably weighs a third of that. That is really heavy beast, and I suppose the idea is to keep things lightweight as well, strip as much weight as possible. So yeah, so after busting my balls to get that out, I've put it on, and it's obviously not going to work. So the next step was, I've gone ahead and got some aluminium plate. This one I think is 4mm aluminium plate. I've gone ahead and attempted to cut some kind of circle out on this, because I haven't got a machine shop, it was a bit out, so I've just filed it round a little bit so it's even on the fitting. So that's going to get mounted to there. As you can see, I've got a bit of play on it there, and I've left some wiggle space around this collar. I'm going to go with the ECU as the controller edge for my straightness, so I've got a bit of adjustment on there. So basically that's going to be my mounting plate inside the engine bay on the iBooster. So what I'll do, I'll be taking that off now, putting that to one side. So my next step is, so I've gone ahead and bought some 20mm angle iron and 25mm angle iron. Now what I'm thinking is I'm going to make a frame with the 20mm around the outside edge of that, and that will add some structural integrity to the plate as well. So I'll do the four sides with the 20mm angle iron, and I'll cut them and I'll weld up the inner edges probably, so it's like a strong frame. Then what I'll do, I'll hang it back in the car, and what I'm thinking of doing is with the 25mm, I mean this is probably still sufficient actually, and what I'm thinking is with the 25mm angle iron, I'll create the bars that will be coming off the front to the inner frame inside the bulkhead of the car, on the outside edge of the firewall within the car, if that makes sense, the bulkhead area. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these first. So let me cut these up, get them ready, and we'll come back and see when they're all in position. Hey tubies, we're back. So as I explained in my earlier video, went ahead and made a plate, got some 20mm angle iron. I made a frame up and I've welded up the joints. I'm going to take it all apart and paint it afterwards. So we'll fit this on there. That's going to go on there obviously. So it's offset. I did have the plate square. I've offset it now. I took about 3/4 of an inch off this side, because I remembered that this edge sits tight up against the inner wing, so I thought it was wise to shave some down now, so it just protrudes a little bit from the side of the unit. So obviously as well, what that's done is it's brought the fixing bolt nearer. So I'm going to go ahead and just put these on, just tighten them up a little bit. I can also, because I've got a bit of room for error as well for squareness, drill or shave this out a little bit here. I'll do that afterwards. I want to just mount the plate to this initially. You don't have to be over tight, because it's all going to come apart again afterwards when it needs painting. So have a sip of tea, and also I did away with this one. The Golf one had the ball end fixing on there, and so this is a bit more common, this, because you have it on your clutch pedal and your brake pedal, this type of fork assembly. So, and looking on the net, you can get I don't know the name off the top of my head now, but you can get like fixtures that go in there. You get the right size ones, and you put a clevis pin in there with a split pin or something, and it holds it in place. Anyway, we're a bit way off from there yet, so that's tightened up as near as good as it needs to be. Hey tubies, so we're hanging in the engine bay at the moment. I've got it hanging on this engine mount thing attached to some cable ties, very strategically placed. So I think I've got the right gappage away from the inside bulkhead. I've got the steering rod arm coming down there, which I need to give ample clearance. Obviously I want nothing striking anywhere. I haven't got the steering box reassembled. Steering box is out at the moment, but I've left enough room there, I think. And also it'd be good to have space to get your hand in there to lock the clevis pin on when if you ever need to take it off. So my next challenge is going to be how to mount this rigid in the engine bay. So what I was going to do initially was, if you can see there, I put some tape as a marker along there. I thought in my wisdom that I'd make a frame up around the steering column. I'd make some frame up and then make some arms coming out and weld onto them, and this thing will be removable. I'll bolt it, even if I get inside the car and just weld the nuts to the bulkhead so they're fixed on the inside. I'm trying to think of a plan to keep it simple. So what my next idea is, I've got some thick plate, like 3 or 4 mil plate. So what I'm thinking of doing is cutting a long strip down there, because obviously I'm going to need to bolt it to the inner wing support here, and I need to have access to get to it. Doing is cutting a plate that comes out, bands down the length of this angle iron, weld it to this angle iron, intrudes out, thinking then I'll get 2 fixings, nuts and bolts, bolt it to the inner wing. Don't know how straight it is there. I'll go with my wisdom on that one. I think because the arm is actually quite close to the hole there. So what I'm thinking of doing first is I will cut some plate that will go straight down. I'll take this out obviously, and I'll weld some plate to the inside, and it will come out here. It will come out to the inner wing, and then I'll bolt it onto the inner wing, and I'll get it all nice and square or parallel with the engine bay inner bulkhead. Then what I may do after that, then I'll be left with the option then of having to, so this edge will be secured rigid, go anywhere. Next option will be then to probably create 2 arms that come off here and go up to the inner bulkhead and bolt them across. So maybe I can just come straight out and bolt that one on there and do another one lower down and bolt it on the side there, and hopefully then that very secure mounting plate. I've got some of this 4 mil plate. I've cut it obviously, and what I've done is I've drilled some holes here. So what I'm thinking of doing initially now is I'm gonna mount that on there, and I'm literally gonna just put 2 small tacks on it just to make sure that this square with the bulkhead inside. Then when I'm happy with it, what I've done is I've drilled a load of 6 mil holes there, as you can see. So I'm gonna seam weld around the edge of that. And then flip it round, and then I'm gonna run a seam of weld down the inside of that. Then hopefully it shouldn't move. If it does, then my welding's terrible. And also I'm thinking of doing is, this is gonna get bolted through. So what I might do is I might get a equally large piece of plate, drill out the holes there, and it can act as a clamp then. So it'll clamp, because obviously the inner wing's not very thick. It's probably like 1 mil, less than that probably. So what I'm going to do now then is I'm just going to give it a tack on there, and then we're going to offer it back on the car. And I don't think I need to mount this back to the iBooster now. I think I can just eye it for now, and then when I want to, and if I'm happy with the squareness of the bulkhead, mount the iBooster back on. So if I'm happy with the squareness of the bulkhead where it sits, then I'll go ahead and just seam weld all that. Then I can mount it to the bulk. Just get the iBooster back on, and then I can go ahead and make some arms that will come off. Probably just do like a single arm at the top and a single arm at the bottom, maybe with some angle iron obviously, and that will get bolted to the inner wing again, the inner bulkhead. Go ahead and tack this on first and see where we stand. Hey tubies, I went ahead and started welding up my plate. I cranked up the settings on the welder because I wasn't having much success, because this is quite thick metal for semi DIY welder that I've got. That's my welds. I went ahead and drilled and plug weld the back as well. So you've got seam welds there, you've got a seam weld there, and I drilled and plugged. So the angle wasn't right on the straight with the main body, so I wanted it square ideally. So my wisdom, I got a bit carried away with the welding because it was actually working really well, and it's the first time it's really worked that well. So I should have just tack welded it and left it, and then way too much. It's too far out now, the angle. I'm not drilling that all out again now. I'll probably take me a month of Sundays to grind that all off now because it's all welded right through everything now. So my wisdom now, yes, more bodgery in its process. I've gone and cut this off some substantial angle iron. What I'm going to do with that is, because the angle of the dangle is so great now, which is too much, it's almost 2 centimeters too much now, the flop angle on that, let's get this got a square somewhere. I was looking at it earlier. So originally when I did this, it was only a centimeter out off the top and the bottom, so I was going to put a slight kink in that and just bring it back a centimeter from the front of the bulkhead, the other side 1 centimeter out. Suppose what I could do, square in place, cut this angle iron. I'll show you what I'm gonna do. So I cut that piece of angle iron and I left a little lip on it, and what I was going to do was put a tack on there, but I think I could probably gauge it off the level now. Let's get the tape measure and we can see what we're trying to do, what you see what I'm trying to get at here. So like I said, edge to this edge was about approximately a centimetre out. Use my straight edge there and I can measure the gap, so that should theoretically give me what I was going to do originally was give that a lip and weld that there. But that's brought it back perpendicular again to the square, which I don't want. I'm back to square one. So what I might start doing is I might start just moving out my wedge until I get I might go just under a centimetre. So that there is just literally off the lip. So that's brought me about 8 millimeters in, I think that has. I might just call that there, I think. I only really needed a slight, if anything, I could probably bring this out fractionally a bit more maybe. See what I'm trying to accomplish here. So there's probably a 2 or 3 mil gap off the inside edge of that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to set the welder up and I'm going to just stick one tack on there where the tape measure is in the middle, and then we're going to hold it up and measure the Kizwaski on the tombola and see where we are. We're about 6 or 7 mil there, which doesn't have to be 100%, but as long as it's not too matching, because otherwise you're going to be pushing, when you're pressing the pedal and it transfers through the rod up to the booster, it's obviously going to be off at a bit of a tangent, so we don't want it massively off because you're putting sort of sideways pressure on the piston, but I don't think it matters too much on such a small amount really. Let's stick a tack on that and see where we end up. Okay, so I went ahead and welded that in now. That's welded up. That gives me a better angle now as well. I was going to cut that off, that overhang, but I might just, when I'm ready and it's all in position, I'm going to take it all off and just clean it all up and then just paint it all. Might give me a little bit more extra space for footprint for clamping. So I'm happy with that. That's the back side of it. So that will sit flat inside the body well like that. So I think what I want to do next is, I have to drill these holes out now because there's obviously plated up now. What I want to do now is make another plate to make an oversized plate, and what I want to do then is line it all up and drill it through, and I'm going to weld some nuts on the back of the new plate that I'm going to make. And then I'm thinking of just not so much welding it, because I'm going to be bolting to thin metal on the inner wing. It's just, that's all you're going to have really, that thin body shaped metal on the inside. So I'm thinking of doing is maybe a bit over, I want to make another plate up which will be bigger. I want to drill out holes to suit this template. Then when I fix this through, what I might do, I'm not even just going to weld it on the inside, I might just, and then that will be rigito. So I'm going to find a bit of scrap steel now and I'm going to mark something up there bigger, and then we'll see how we get on. But come back in a while after this commercial break.